know about, there you go. All right. So here's what my story about going from $5,000 a month, approximately give or take, to $10,000, little shift probably in about 4 to 6 weeks after making the decision that that's how much money I wanted to make in a month. And this journey started a very, very long time ago before I really understood what bookkeeping and accounting was. I've been investing in learning about bookkeeping and accounting probably going on about 20 years now. And I started doing some side work for other bookkeepers, tax professionals, CPAs, and taking on different types of work, little part-time projects, starting a very long time ago. Never really thought about making it into a full-time business until I finished graduating from school and really thought about what that looked like. Of course, I was at that time starting to do some work with a nonprofit organization and getting the opportunity to meet with a lot of people who are struggling with their bookkeeping, struggling with understanding their finances. And that really led for me to want to help people with their financial aspects of their businesses, understanding how to create budgets. And of course, that leads into doing their bookkeeping correctly, doing their accounting correctly, ultimately preparing their returns correctly. And as a result of working with these people who were struggling so much, I decided to go back to school and get a degree in this whole area. How I started making significant money with this was now starting to tell people, hey, I know how to do bookkeeping, and getting a few referrals from friends. I've done some work from doing some work with restaurants, about maybe 4 or 5 different restaurants and barbershops. And at one point, I think I had about mostly retail clients and some services. That was really the bulk of what I was doing, but not really as an independent contractor, independent consultant. When I really thought about, okay, I'm going to make this into a business, I actually already had a full-time job at the time, but I was noticing, okay, there's things that I would rather do and offer this service as a full-time business and get myself positioned to be able to do that. I still really enjoyed my full-time work. However, the idea of starting my own bookkeeping business was very attractive. At that time, maybe give or take about $3,000 a month with a few different clients. Sometimes they were consulting clients. Sometimes they were just a few small one-off bookkeeping projects. One of my long-term clients that I have now, that he's been my client for 10 years, started off, just walked into his shop and said, hey, who's doing your bookkeeping? He literally was starting his business that week. He literally opened the doors. I actually had gotten a project to do a cleanup for a woman who was 2 doors down. She had a nonprofit organization and she needed a pre-audit audit done because she had not done any bookkeeping at all. And she found me through the nonprofit organization. And she was like one of my really first pretty big bookkeeping cleanup projects. And I charged her $25 an hour. And that's when the first time I realized that charging by the hour was not a great way to approach something, especially when you really don't know what you're doing. But I mean, it is what it is. It was a great learning opportunity. She had not been doing any bookkeeping at all. She was not using QuickBooks and she wanted to start using QuickBooks. She had started a nonprofit organization and was running it for 3 years without doing any bookkeeping or accounting at all, but she had received over about close to $200,000 in grants. And at this point was now being asked by her grantors to show what she's been doing with the money. Now, her nonprofit, she helps educate women on helping healthy habits, helping them to prevent different diseases and disorders as a result of using chemicals on your hair and skin. And she would do education and training, and that's what she was using the money for. She had gotten some very large grants from some hospitals and medical facilities in our area. But of course, everybody who gives you money wants to know what you're doing with this money. So she had contacted the nonprofit organization where I was and said, is there anybody here who knows how to do bookkeeping and accounting? And I was the first one that was referred. Well, yeah, we have someone here who's helping us, who's an accountant. And this was about 2013. It's about 2 years after I graduated with my degree in accounting and business administration. And so I'm still a newbie. I haven't really like jumped in fully into the world of accounting, but I took the job. She said, "Can you do it?" And I said, "Well, sure." My approach when giving big jobs, I'll get in there, take a look around, and honestly, some jobs scare me. But I do know how to ask for help, and I didn't feel that this one was going to be that difficult. But she was one of my really biggest projects, and I severely underbid it really at $25 an hour doing all the work. And this is one of those things where not having a good understanding of how to price a job can kind of get you into hot water, not being able to bid a job in advance. Even charging her $25 an hour, the total project charge was close to almost $3,000 worth of work. It was a lot of work to get 3 years of bookkeeping put together, all of the cleanup, all of the bank statements, all of the reconciliations, and everything tied in so that she had something ready to present, because she was actually having, so basically I did like the bookkeeping, the back work to get ready, so because she was having an audit done. She was having a CPA come in and do the audit. So she needed all of that done, and there was nothing to work from. This was also my first experience in developing a chart of accounts for a nonprofit organization. And so I had to teach myself how to do that. And again, we're tying this all in. How did I go from 5K to 10K? From that point, again, that's how I got my very next client, because he literally was 2 doors down. And the woman at the nonprofit, was not at her office. So I just wandered 2 doors down and walked into this shop where the guy is loading boxes into his building. And I said, "Say, who's doing your bookkeeping?" He says, "I don't think I need a bookkeeper right now." I said, "Oh, okay, well, here's my cards." That was in February of 2013. And I checked back in with him around April, May 2013. "Hey, how are you doing? How's business going? So, do you need any help? Is there anything any questions that I can answer about your business?" "Oh, no, everything is good. We're just getting unloaded. We got stuff up on the shelves. People are starting to realize that we're here." Okay, that's great. That sounds wonderful. And the summertime kind of came and went. Was somewhere around September of 2013. He gave me a call and he said, "I think I need a bookkeeper." I said, "I agree. I think you do." So he literally had opened his doors February 2013 and started, of course, at zero. By October 2013, he went from zero in his business. I believe he had, by October, was already making about $60,000 a month.
Wow.
No, was that right? No, sorry, not 60,000 a month. I lied. But no, I'm sorry. His business went to total of $60,000 in sales, but he was getting so many sales, he didn't know how to track everything. And then now, of course, he probably got his first bill from the state of California for filing his sales tax. I think that's what triggered him to call me, because he didn't know how to process the sales tax return, and other things too. So that's what made him reach out to me. So he was my next and longest still current client. He wasn't paying me more than, at that time, I wasn't charging him more than a few $100s a month. To date, he is charging me a little bit more than that. Actually, I've given him increases significantly since then. But from that client, and then also doing consulting calls, business consulting calls, and doing some teaching and training, I've had lots of opportunity to do either short-term projects, additional like one-off projects, teaching someone how to do their own bookkeeping. And then most recently, I would have to say this was right before COVID in 2020. I had a client referred to me that he had not done any taxes, not done any bookkeeping. He was working with an organization to help get his returns and everything caught up for 8 years worth of bookkeeping. This was one of my largest bookkeeping cleanup jobs or back work jobs. So I literally pulled together bank statements and transactions from 2012 all the way through 2020. And this was, I think for this client, I earned from his job, from all of that work alone for 8 years of bookkeeping. I feel like I did a really good job at bidding the job of all the back work. That particular project, I made close to $45,000 alone on. Yeah.
Nice.
And it was, trust me, it was very hard earned $45,000 for one client. Okay. And it took me, so I met with him. He became my client June of 2020 during the height of COVID. And he was paying me, and I had a lot of work to get pulled in together, but to try to show you how I go from 5,000 to 10,000. I mean, that client right there, during the period of time when I was doing all of that cleanup work, I think I was getting and he was paying me somewhere between, just him alone, he was paying me between $6,000 to $8,000 a month, because he had a lot of work that needed to get done. So he ultimately was paying me for a lot of the back work so I would keep working and doing that work for him. His total project again came to about 45,000 alone over the span of the time to get him all completely caught up. Took me the rest of 2020, so June to December 2020, all of 2021. I think it was a year and a half that it took me to get all 8 years of bookkeeping caught up. So that, wow. and I did have to hire a small team of people to help me with some of that client, because he dropped off 8 boxes of paper to me that had to be sorted through IRS letters from our state of California, receipts. It was just a massive job. And how I got that client, so just kind of like to help you understand how I go from 5,000 to 10,000, that would be one particular instance of how I did really, really well. But that was as a result of having a relationship with an enrolled agent who met me through a workshop and a training that she and I attended together. So I feel that the best way to really do some significant jumps, it takes time and it takes investment and it takes building relationships, because prior to that, who knew me, right? The only people who truly knew me were individuals that I had met through this nonprofit organization. And again, I really say that that's one of my greatest forms of leverage, are people who come to this organization, find me, find out what I know how to do, and then essentially I get referrals. From finishing up that client in 2021, other than that, the other clients that I've normally had that kind of kept me at a $5,000 a month baseline were my regular monthly maintenance and consulting clients. Now, that was the whole, like a baseline from January 21 all the way to March or February of 2023 we're at right now. And then the significant jump, I believe one of the things that triggered it was more of my speaking opportunities and the manifestation of wanting to put more into my business and investing in myself. I really truly believe that that was what helped made this really significant jump of a $5,000 a month to 1 month of $10,000 as a result of people coming to me for tax returns, more consulting and training on QuickBooks, and then monthly maintenance. Stop video, that's it.
Yeah.
But that's the journey.
And interesting thing as we're kind of like talking, like, I mean, it was so abrupt. I think what we should do, why don't we do like maybe like a weekly, like maybe 30-minute podcast, kind of like this, where
That's
it's like,
cool.
yeah, where it's like, you can write down like, or me and you can write down a list of all the different stories you've had in your business over the past X amount of years, and we just
Yeah.
go and like we just talk it out. So you'll be like, this is the time that I went and did my first speaking round. I'll be like, okay, so tell me about that, and like, what were you feeling? Why did you do that? What gave you the confidence to do that? And we can just build the videos off like that, since you like
I think
live.
I think I work really well that way, because I can my thoughts are coming to me as I'm talking, and I'm free flowing without having thought too much ahead. But that is true. But that's truly how I did, I mean, all of these years. I think that big job that I got truly was a blessing. And I've been a blessing to this gentleman. He's stated it many times. He's still working with getting some of this stuff caught up, but to have a huge cleanup job or a huge backwork job of 8 years is probably not very common, but I don't know. It might very well be.
Well, the hard part with cleanups is like keeping the business owner like wanting motivated to keep doing things throughout. That's always the hardest part for most people, especially in the online space.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's like a lot of people like they'll get a cleanup, but like the business owner will pay them the deposit and they just kind of disappear or it takes them 6 months or XYZ. So yeah, I think why don't we do that? So why don't we have a mixture of like, all of your experiences? I'll do, we can talk about the marketing, the price and the sales and XYZ, right? But we can just have just like 30 minutes a week and we just have this like live thing and just like, that way you don't have to build your videos outside. Like you can still make your videos outside of these, but because I was thinking about doing a podcast for a little while, but and then we can even, if some cases, if you want to do like a little bit of coaching, like maybe you have a question or something, I can answer your
Yeah.
question there. And yeah.
I have a lot of stories. I definitely have. And what I like about the stories that I have to share with people is that they get a sense of how real situations can get for business owners when they don't address the bookkeeping and the nightmares that they're potentially going to face. And of course, there's some wins. There's some great wins. There's people who have made some great strides. Were able to get some funding because they got their bookkeeping clean up. But just one thing that I can share with you right now, that during the height of COVID, my clients were able to apply for funding very easily for the PPP program. And what was the other one? EIDL. I can't remember. There were so many acronyms going on
Right.
or abbreviations during that time. But because the clients that I was working with that were wanting to apply for this funding, it was a no-brainer. It was a breeze because literally just had to run their financials. Everything was already done. Everything's caught up. One client got a total of, I think, 65,000. He got the PPP program. That one was like $15,000 or $20,000. Another one of my clients got 25,000 on the PPP. They got the 40,000 from the EIDL. He got $9,000 from the EIDL advance, and he got an additional COVID relief. He got one COVID relief grant of 7,500. He got another COVID relief grant of 5,000. And as of this past December, he was offered an additional 15,000 for post-COVID relief, but all because he could literally pull financial statements like that. And the only reason why he was able to pull financial statements like that is because I've been on top of his stuff forever. That's that same client who's been my client for 10 years. So he actually had a CPA take a look at his books and tell him that the financial statements, the way that I have his chart of accounts, and when you run the P&L, she told him, this is the cleanest set of books I've ever seen. She said, this is the cleanest chart of accounts that I've ever seen on a tax return.
Nice.
So
yeah. Why don't we do that? Why don't we just do a podcast?
If you'd like me to brag about
like,
myself, I can do that.
of course. Yeah, because we could talk about
I do want
if you want to, be closer, if you want help with your business, come join the mentorship program. You'd be close to Jennine, get to meet her on a base. She could even help you out and stuff. Yeah.
well, getting to talk to me should be a privilege, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to share something cool with
Yes.
you. You want to hear
Yeah.
something cool?
Let's
Okay,
hear
so
it.
I met with the guy who has the company in Rwanda this morning, and I did the second half of my pitch, and I basically kind of outlined what I thought were his pain points and some ideas for some suggestions. But I literally told him, I said, I took a look at his books, and he's got quite a complex thing going on there. It's really intricate, a lot of moving parts, and needing some guidance and some suggestions on things. But long story short, his answer to me was he's gonna discuss it with his team and let them know and kind of see. He's got some people who are doing a few things in the accounting right now. But what he said to me that was encouraging, it was really kind of funny. he's like, well, I'm going to talk to my team and see what we can do with, I can't remember the gentleman's name who's occupying the role now, but let's just say his name is Mark. Well, I'm going to, Mark is handling the accounting right now, but I really would like Mark to be doing something else. He said, and what I see you doing is, so he's, kind of telling me what we could do together. And then the next thing he says to me, he says, what do you think about going to Rwanda? He said, are you open for that? I really want you to come see our plant. I want you to come there and see the workers and see how we have everything set up. And I'm like, whoa.
That sounds like you won the contract.
It sounds like I won the contract, and it sounds like I'm going to Africa, by the way. So
nice. Yeah, if you go when you go to Africa, let's take a video of that. Like, hey,
he says, have you ever been out of the country? Have you ever been to anywhere? And I said, no. He says, are you open to going to Rwanda and traveling there and coming to see my company? And I'm like, whoa, oh my goodness. Well, it sounds like I might have this job.
Yeah.
So I thought
next
that was pretty cool.
So yeah, so I want to see next month, and that means you'll probably, because I know this, you did 7,500, not counting another cleanup. You might be on it 12, depending on how much he pays you per month. I mean, that's gonna be definitely over 12 grand a month, every single month in recurring revenue.
That would be super cool. But yes, I'm planting the seeds. I think that the presentation went well, and he actually did record the presentation, so he said he was going to send it to me. He's also, excited and encouraged by the idea of doing some training videos to have them available for his team and things like that. So, I mean, just a variety of different things that he's already talking proactively about. So it's very encouraging.
Okay.
And it's all in a different currency. So that's but it's just a lot more zeros at the end.
I mean, that's just how it is, man. Let's get this thing, because like here's a cool thing that I'm thinking about, and I started this with Millie, but it's like I think what I want to do is I want to like get like maybe like 10 like top students, just the favorite students that ever worked with the mentorship program, and just see how can we get them to like not only like keep getting like a certain monthly amount, but how can we either provide like leads to them or even provide like clients or sales to them to get like a percentage of like the clients or get commission or something. And that way it just like rather than having to like go after like new mentorship students, just focus on like 10 people and just grow with them for like, I don't know, the next like 5-10 years. So I'm kind of like, the more I was listening to you talk, more I was like, wow, this is kind of cool.
Which
So
part was cool?
just I don't know how to describe it exactly. It's more the way you're kind of lighting up when you were just going live and just talking, right? That's something that not a lot of people can do. It's like, oh my goodness, we can just, kill this game. And especially when you start doing your presentations for your tax planning inside some of the Facebook groups you're going into soon. I mean, and then I was just thinking, I was like, man, if we can, so I'll let you on like a really big secret. So one thing I was thinking about doing with Celeste, he's one of the other students in the mastermind version, was like we were gonna do a partnership, but he kind of got sick for a while, where I would go and basically manage his Facebook account, go inside of like different Facebook groups and like make posts about tax planning to get like people to want to go and like pay money. Right. And he would either give me like a flat rate based on like the number of leads or a percentage on like the deal closed from his tax planning. So then as I'm kind of talking to Millie about like the email marketing and stuff, as I keep getting better and better at copywriting, one thing I could eventually do is just go after every single self-employed person, probably like state by state, and just get a combination, maybe like 5 to 10 different email marketing types of messages. Basically, learn how to write that, get them to then kind of send us a message on Facebook, have the messenger conversation on Facebook, book a call with you for your tax planning. You close the deal for tax planning, then we like you give me like a commission or something off of that. And I'm just thinking, we can make that work long term. Like that's so much money per month.
Wow, that's a pretty incredible idea.
Yeah, and all came from listening to you on the calls. It's like, wow, had like a moment of clarity.
Okay, good. Well, I'm glad that I helped you have that moment of clarity. Like I said, I feel like when I'm speaking live, I don't have to think about what I'm going to say. It just flows. But if I'm sitting here trying to record myself doing something, it just comes out a little bit chunky, but I'll get better at it.
Well, it's like sometimes you listen to your strengths, right? And it's just like, yeah, because like, just listen to your strengths and over time it gets better. Because I mean, all a recorded video is just a live video that was recorded and played at this time in the sometime in the
Yeah, but I
future.
don't have an audience. I feel like when I'm actually have another human being to talk to, it's just more natural for me. If I don't,
Yeah,
if I'm
so
sitting here talking to the
yeah,
wall, I'm talking to the wall and I'm being more self-conscious about what I'm saying. Whereas when I have a live audience, it's more natural for me and less forced.
yeah. I think okay, so then we'll just do podcast style. We can even go live inside or live to the Facebook group or whatever. So I can actually stream the conversation we're having on the podcast into one of the Facebook groups.
Okay.
So we would actually have a live audience, and it could be me,
I
you,
will have a live
crowd.
audience.
You just yeah, then you just talk about your week or talk about your story. And then people ask questions. I could be like, hey, Marissa J or XYZ person is, asking this question.
And that's normally par for the course when I'm doing my trainings is that I always have a lot of Q&A and um, engagement.
This could be cool. This could be because we have that Facebook group. It has like 30,000 people inside of the main one. And like we're growing it by about 1,000 people every single month, right? So they can just like build out a relationship with me or a relationship with you or with my controller Sharon. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's all that matters. And then yeah, we just keep working out our pitches, working everything out, getting the tax planning side launched. And yeah, this could be really good. Cool. And it's a lot less work on my end.
Definitely. Always looking for
Awesome.
opportunities. It's important to find ways to streamline what you're doing. So the actual day-to-day stuff is a little easier.
Yeah. Let's talk about that maybe even offspring, like what a good commission amount you'd want for tax planning clients would be. Like I'm 1,000% serious when it comes. It might not be now that we do something like that, but I really want to kind of see what that looks like. Because I was not aware of this, but with Millie, we gave her 7 leads. She closed 3 out of 7, with one of them
Wow.
saying that they just couldn't have like a budget to do it. But that's when I was only trying to give her like 5 leads a month, right? So like
Hmm.
I think when you kind of came on the call, what I was telling you was like, okay, so this time I'm just gonna like open the floodgates. I'm gonna see if I can get her like, 10, 15, 20 leads the next like month, and then see probably hope the percentage of closes probably will not stay exactly the same because she might get like, some lower quality people. But I'm like, if the percentage did kind of keep the same, I mean, she right there, that's easily an extra like 5, 10 grand a month. So I'm trying to see like what that looks like long term. But
Okay.
that's kind of where I'm at, you know.
All right. Well, I'm open to hearing your ideas on that.
Cool. Yeah, okay.
Ultimately, at the end of the day, I know I'm marketable. I know that I know how to close. Normally, if they're within a fair price range for the services, I don't have a problem closing a client. I feel like one of my strengths, I was telling somebody today that one of my superpowers is my ability to connect with people where they are at, and they
Mm.
can I really connect with people in that authenticity that people can tell that I genuinely care about what they're doing and what they're facing with their bookkeeping or taxes or tax situation, things like that. So I really feel that that's definitely one of my strengths that I've identified.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so I'm
I
really
think one of my
really
strengths is
excited about
writing.
getting in front. I'm sorry.
So one of my strengths is writing.
Mine used to be writing. I just haven't written as much as I used to in the past. I'm actually
Mm,
I used to be quite an avid writer.
mhm. Yeah, because I was kind of like some people are talking about like Chat GPT and all these different like AI tools. And whether it's bookkeeping, whether it's writing, whether it's video, whether it's coaching, like a lot of people don't understand the AI. The hard part about AI is like you have to know exactly what questions to ask it. But
Okay,
then you also have to be able to take the information, utilize the information. But a lot of people, like, if you ever look for like any of our mentorship calls, a lot of people don't even know the right questions to ask,
that's true.
right?
That's true.
So like the results of the answers they get from the Chat GPT and stuff are just either not very good, and then even the stuff that you get out of like that's like the automation tools, it's like you have to kind of add some creativity to it in order for it to actually like work and be like effective.
I think that that's the same in real life as it is with AI. It's being
Yeah.
able to ask good questions. And that's why I like live engagements. That's why I like when I'm teaching my workshops, someone will ask me a question about something, and having that individual there live and having me there live, I get to work with them and help them articulate what it is that they're really wanting to know so that they get to the real question that they want to know. So I don't think that Chat GPT or AI will actually ever be able to do that, because it doesn't think like it's not like going to probe you the same way that an experienced person would.
Awesome. Well, hey, I think this has been the start of a really great thing. Again, like I always tell you, I really enjoy your time, really enjoy talking to you.
Well,
So
thank you.
grateful that we talked on LinkedIn that one time. And see, this is kind of why we do the YouTube channel, right? Some people don't understand, like, why would you do a YouTube channel? You're giving away free advice and stuff. It's like, well, sometimes it's not about advice in life. Sometimes it's about implementation. Sometimes about knowing what to say when you can't see your blind spots.
Yes, exactly.
And that's how you go from $5,000 a month after X amount of years in business to 10,260 days.
That is correct. That's one of those things. It's truly just a years and years of investment and willing to put the time in to learn about my craft and then learn how to communicate with people, being a good listener. It's all of that. It's a culmination of all of those different skill sets, and then now being able to implement them and have a conversation with someone who's willing to give me a decent amount of money to get a problem solved. So that's how you go from 5,000 to 10,000 a month. It's that honing of your craft and honing of your communication skills.
And seeing the blind spots, and then yeah, and that's it. Awesome. Well, hey Janine, thank you so much for your time. We're done recording in 3, 2,